So far... Oh, no! Oh, God, I spilled milk on myself. Fuck's sake. I went to pick up my little milky juice box.
Oh, look at you trying to do your perfect intro.
No, I went to pick it up. Oh,
So far away.
Fuck's sake, I don't like me. Fuck's sake. Oh, so fucking annoying. Couldn't taste bad. I don't know. Fuck's sake. Oh, so... Is it even worth doing an intro? Whatever.
Just start the article, it's fine.
Sam Langford, sometimes known by the awesome and fearsome moniker of the Boston Bone Crusher, is a boxer often considered one of the finest in history, despite the fact nobody really knows who he is. And something no better epitomised than the fact that Sam Langford would reportedly end fights just to catch trains. So, do you know anything about the boxing world, Brad? Are you a fan of the sweet science?
I'm very limited knowledge. Like, you could name 5 boxers and I'd probably only know 3 of them.
That's the thing. I'm not so much a fan of boxing as I am the history of sports itself. Like, I wrote a book years ago called Ass-Kicking Athletes of Antiquity that never got published, and I'll probably never really do anything with because, you know, I feel the time has passed by for people to give a fuck about article writers on the internet who make dick jokes writing books. So that'll probably just live in my hard drive, and I'll occasionally plumb the depths of it for fodder for videos like I'm doing today. Covered a few more on our channel before, haven't we?
Yeah, the one that always sticks with me is Wayne Gretzky.
Yes, the great one. Like, you know,
Impossibly
and that's one of the things that
good.
like. And that's what the basic premise of that book was about. Just athletes from history with feats attributed to them that sound like shit you made up. Like stuff that should be legend. And Sam Langford's one of those individuals because some of the stuff that he did sounds like something you'd make up. But no, it actually happened. There's documented evidence of it occurring. And I know a couple of examples that I liked and recall from the top of my head, like people like Milo of Croton, who was an ancient Greek wrestler who was said to have trained by carrying a calf every day. To the point where it was a fully grown adult bull, and then he ate the bull.
This is the city of Croton in Greece.
Is he the one who died fighting lions?
Wolves.
Wolves.
And, you know, some of this stuff, like, you know, is subject to embellishment, as much of history is, but I still found the idea interesting that there are all these, like, amazing feats of, like, you know, physical and athletic prowess from history that sound completely untouchable by today's standards. Like, you know, got figures like from more modern history, the Great Gamma, who was just a Turkish oil wrestler who was fucking terrifying. And he's like, all the pictures of him were just wielding this giant fucking club, which is like a traditional way of working out. Have you ever seen like the Great Gamma clubs?
I don't think so.
It's like this. It's this traditional exercise thing where it's just like a big metal mace, and you hold 2 of them, and you just swing them around, and that's your exercise.
Just
like another Turkish oil wrestler was.
Oh dear God! I googled it.
Yeah. What Great Gamma? It's what, and you swing it around. Yeah.
It's like a royal scepter, but bigger.
Yeah, and you hold 2 of them, you swing around your head, and it's like, yeah, just people like that. And Sam Langford's one of the individuals I stumbled across while researching, like, you know, people from boxing history who aren't maybe well known for their boxing record, but possessed one innate trait that put them above the rest. And with Sam Langford, it was his punching power.
There's a lot of boxers who are known for the power of the punch.
Yeah, and normally as well, they're not the most successful boxers. Like, forget the guy's name, but we covered him in the video about Sylvester Stallone, when he got knocked the fuck out trying to film a Rocky movie, if you remember.
I do remember, yeah.
Yeah, where he trained with a boxer who's widely regarded as the modern boxer with the hardest punch. And that guy trained just by fucking swinging an axe at some wood. That's all he did all fucking day, just swung an axe at some wood.
Where did that punching power come from? Like, was that something that you were just kind of blessed with, or was that something you had to work on?
No, I was blessed with it. I grew up on a farm. Doing the hard farm work, I chop a lot of trees.
Well, that's the thing of, like, you know, boxing history. Like, some of the people who punched the hardest weren't necessarily the most well-known, because punching hard is only one aspect of boxing. Now, admittedly, it's a very important part, but there are other, more, like, you know, things that, you know, can make or break a boxer, such as, like, you know, technique, skill, stamina, and even, if you go back to Sam Langford's day, race. So this is where we have to mention that Sam Langford was black. So you can probably guess, folks at home and Brad, why he's often considered, and I have, like, you know, the name he's known by here, the greatest fighter nobody knows.
Yeah, no.
And it's just sad that, isn't it? When you
Yeah.
go back, it's like, and you look at all these like feats of like athletic prowess, and it's like, why is this person not better? Oh, okay. And you just see a picture of them and go, it all makes sense now. People were racist.
How many incredible people have been lost to history because society was either racist or sexist or just generally shitty?
Well, it's like you have like just an example of the sexism aspect. Like Beatrix Potter. You know, Beatrix Potter, she wrote, like, you know, is it the Peter Rabbit books?
I think so, yeah.
These adorable, cutesy books about rabbits. Do you know what else she did? She was like an expert mycologist. So she's an expert on like fungi and mushrooms. But she was only seen as an amateur enthusiast because she was a woman. And even though like she did some groundbreaking work in that specific regard, all of her research and writings and her drawings, which were some of the most detailed and accurate of the era, were written off as just, you know, oh, it's a flight of fancy for the woman folk. So she had to write novels instead.
But she was especially interested in mycology, the study of mushrooms. She even wrote a scientific paper about it, but women at that time couldn't be scientists. To earn some money, Beatrix started drawing cards with animals.
Fuck's sake.
Because she couldn't get, you know, respected or even acknowledged as an academic, so she wrote books instead, which is seen as a more womanly pursuit. And there's so many countless examples of that from history, of just how much further along would we be as a society from, like, you know, culture, science, art, mathematics, if, you know, more than, you know, just men and white men for much of history could take part in these endeavours. But hey ho. But in regards to, like, you know, Sam Langford, he initially fought as a lightweight. He only stood about 5'7", but was able to bulk up to fight as a heavyweight. So you can imagine how fucking built this guy was. 5'7", fought as a heavyweight.
Yeah, I'm 5'7", so I would have to be wide to get into a heavyweight category.
And it says that he was so good that other, more well-known and supposedly higher-ranked boxers would actively dodge fights with him, and in some cases like leave town when he arrived so they wouldn't have to fight him, because they were that scared of his like jaw annihilating right hook.
That's when you know you're good. When there's people
Here's the thing,
literally
though,
running
it doesn't matter
away.
that you know you could if no one will let you prove it.
I'm guessing all of these people who refused to fight came up with the shittiest of excuses as well.
You're like, yeah, he's not high ranked, he's not well known enough. Yeah, well, he's not well known enough because you won't fight him. And one of the most famous examples of someone ducking him was another black boxer, Jack Johnson, who is known as one of the, you know, the greatest boxers in history. And it's said that Jack Johnson repeatedly ducked fights with Langford because he was scared that if he fought him, Langford would knock him the fuck out. And keep in mind, Jack Johnson was no slouch himself, and the fact that he was ducking fights with this guy, like, says a lot.
I often wonder with boxers, when you hear that they've had like a 30, 40, 50 game winning streak, and like they're never going to pick a fighter who can beat them because then that ends the streak.
Well, that's what happened with Floyd Mayweather, wasn't it, towards the end? Where, like, you know, he had like 49-0, and like Manny Pacquiao. And you're just like, well, all he did was clinch and throw jabs. It's like, well, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you if you like if you knew that was the way you could win and you were going to go 50-0? That's what you're doing it.
It's like if they discovered a new technique in, say, football or soccer, where all of the players just like held in a circle around the ball and walked forwards, and it won
part
every
of the bus.
game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the flying V, but in football.
2-2-6 formation, they're taking Europe by storm. So difficult to stop. Tiene la pelota al six-pack. Ojo que encara su defensa. Chuta puerta. Gol. Das Sixpack führt den Ball durchs Mittelfeld. Pass geht nach außen. Flanke, Sixpack, Tor.
But that's what they do, isn't it? It's like you part of the bus. Like when you're watching football, it's like, oh, this team's too, like, you know, they're 2-1 up and they're not, like, you know, attacking. Why would they? They've got no incentive whatsoever to try and attack, so then they could risk losing. It's the same thing with this. They're like, why would you risk fighting this guy who you know via reputation has one of the hardest punches in all of boxing? And for anyone curious about what it felt like to get punched by Sam Langford, we've got a quote here from a boxer called Harry Willis. When he was asked to describe simply what it felt like to be hit by Langford, he responded, I felt like he punched right through me. And like, keep in mind, though, this guy was a heavyweight, and he was a foot taller than Langford, so he was no stranger to being punched by large men. And then when he was asked, conversely, what does it feel like to be knocked out by him then? Because you were knocked out by Langford. He responded, I thought I'd died. Just straight up, I thought I was dead. And keep in mind, this is a professional heavyweight boxer. Like, for them to be just that candid about this experience, like, I thought I was dead. Just straight up thought I died.
It was over.
Just
I saw the pearly gates.
instantly.
I'm gone. Fuck. I thought you were going to say, like, what's it feel like to be knocked out by him? I don't know. I don't remember anything.
I don't remember.
The entire fight, the week after, my mother's name, it was just gone.
Well, that's what made him so scary as well, because in addition to having this, like, just absolute, just raw knockout power, like, Langford had seemingly limitless stamina, and he was able to, like, you know, deliver these crushing, just, like, body obliterating blows well into the later rounds. Like, he was like the Rocky Balboa of his day. Like, Rocky is still delivering, like, those, like, fucking haymakers in, like, the 10th round.
Yeah.
And you have, like, Ivan Drago, like, it's like, he won't stop. He's made of iron. He's a fucking machine. What do I do?
I don't know why I do this to myself. Like, why do I do these articles where you talk about these amazing people who can do all this stuff, and I just sit here thinking about my existence? Been sat in a chair all day and I'm still tired.
And that's the problem, like I said, the greatest fighter nobody knows, because he never really got a chance to prove himself. So what we do know about him is, like, you know, scant and like, largely unconfirmed, because it's all based on, like, you know, just first-hand eyewitness testimony from, like, you know, nearly 100 years ago. And it's a shame, like, you know, this guy could have been one of the, like, you know, the greatest champions of the sport if he'd ever had a chance to prove himself, because, you know, he had the punching power, he had the technique, he had the speed, because he was also known as, like, you know, really fast. You know, being a shorter fighter, he was able to, like, close the distance very quickly, and he had a deceptive reach for his size. So he had all the makings of, like, an absolutely just dominating boxer, and just no one let him fight them because they were that scared. Like, they were just fucking scared.
How do we know about him then?
Just because, you know, the few people that he fought was like, he's fucking unstoppable, and then all the sorts of, like, you know, boxers who are better on paper, like their records show that they're more successful and they reached higher ranks, just outright ducking him, like Jack Johnson. For anyone wondering, well, was this guy really that good? I defer to an anecdote told by someone who witnessed him knock someone out in the first round, which wasn't uncommon for a Langford fight, but they were curious about why Langford, after knocking the guy out, sprinted out of the arena. Like, he didn't even wait to celebrate or, like, you know, collect his winnings or anything like that. He got it all sent to him after the fact, and he was asked by someone, like, why did you knock the guy out so quickly and then just get out of the arena? He went, well, I had a train to catch. And it's just that.
Legend.
What the fuck are you gonna do?
Like, it makes it sound like he can end any fight whenever he wants if he needs to.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little bit of, like, when you look at Mike Tyson in his prime. When he was just like, you were paying people $10 million to get the shit kicked out of them. Like, full-grown adult men who were heavyweight boxers were scared of him. And he'd just walk up and knock them the fuck out in like 10 seconds.
They lost the fight before they even got hit.
After menacing pre-fight quotes and behavior,
If he doesn't die, it doesn't count.
Tyson would eye up his opponents from the moment he entered the ring.
It's one of the coolest things you can ever do, though, is talking shit and then living up to it. Mm-hmm. Like, we recently had a beer pong game. It wasn't one of the ones in the competition. And the guy who ran the bar came over to us and said, oh, you need to finish up, we're going to close. So I went, cool, put the last one in and walked off. And
it's like, there's nothing more satisfying.
Nothing more satisfying. Even though I could easily have missed it. I missed all the ones before it. That last one, worth it.
That's the thing, though. What is more satisfying? Doing that, like pulling something off after talking a big game, or seeing someone fail after talking a big game?
Oh.
What is more cathartic? Is it more cathartic to be the person who pulls the thing off, or to witness the person who's talking mad shit get knocked the fuck out? Or, like, you know, like metaphorically, just knocked down?
I think personally, I get more joy from my own success than others suffering, so I'd have to say the me being cool part. But there is joy in that. I
the schadenfreude of watching someone who talks a lot of shit just completely just get their ass handed to them. Like, you know, for example, watching Elon Musk walk on stage and get booed for 10 minutes straight.
I'm rich.
That
bitch,
gave me life.
Hello, I'm Elon Musk.
But far away, Brad. Like, you know, we've talked many times on the channel before about, you know, athletes from history who've, like, you know, accomplished all these amazing feats. And as mentioned, I've got, like, you know, a book full of them that will no doubt be plumbed for more content at a future date. But is there any, like, you know, sporting feats from history that you just think about from time to time. Like, fuck it, how did someone manage that?
I mean, it's not necessarily a feat, but that sumo wrestler who gave himself extra height.
He just put like the gel pad under his fucking head.
Like the amount of effort you need to go to have like something surgically put under. Was it under his skin or was it just under the hair? I can't quite remember. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. People don't know the backstory to that. Just very quickly, is sumo wrestling used to have a height requirement, and to adhere, they had a height requirement, but not a weight requirement, which was really weird. So it's like why sumo wrestling is always dominated by the heavier individual. But the height requirement was so strict that there were people getting silicone implants put underneath their scalp and then slowly filled with gel so that their head would be taller, so they could like reach the extra height limit.
There's also that well-known one about the cricket bat. The guy had the really wide cricket bat.
Where he rolled it along the floor. And like, that's one of those things that's so fucking funny because it's so British. People don't know, he was like, the guy was like on for like a perfect game. I don't know much about cricket, but basically all the guy had to do was like hit the ball once. So the guy just rolled it towards him, so he couldn't get the maximum score and break this like record. And then all the commentators like, that's unacceptable, that, fuck that guy.
We're going to go an underarm. We haven't believed it. And that's a disappointing finish. Disappointed Brian affecting the crowd boo. And it's all over.
I was talking about the guy who made the really wide cricket bat.
Oh no, I thought you meant the one where it was the guy who was on for a perfect game.
Oh.
And the bowler just did it underhand so he couldn't get a perfect game, and everyone got super mad about it.
You'd want to be part of the story there, wouldn't you? You want to be part of history.
That's the thing, though.
Why would you mess it up?
It's the example of the thing we talked. What's more satisfying?
Yeah.
Seeing someone succeed or being responsible for someone not succeeding.
Like I definitely didn't mention in the that beer pong story about all the other times I tried to talk shit and miss.
Oh yeah.
Just that one last one was perfect.
Well, history only tends to remember the winners, doesn't it? There's so many examples I think about. I think there's one of the Australian rower, Bobby Pearce. Once, I shit you not, in the middle of a race, a family of ducks went in front of him. Like something out of a fucking cartoon. Like a family of ducks, completely the duck, like, beep, 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 beep. He's come to a complete stop, let the ducks pass in front of him. His opponent overtook him while this was happening, disrupting the ducks. So, you know, the crowd's now against that guy. And Bobby Pearce not only pulled up to the guy, but won.
Wow.
And he even stopped on the finish line to wave to the crowd before going over it.
What is he doing? He has stopped. He stood for the ducks.
It's just like little things like that. It's like I think it's Katie Ledecky. Do you remember like her run at the Olympics a couple of years ago? She's the swimmer.
Not particularly, no.
Right, well, she was fucking hilarious because she was so dominant that she was winning swimming races by such a wide margin you couldn't see her opponents on the screen. Like, she was so far ahead sometimes, she had time to get to the finish, take off her goggles, see that she'd won a world record, and start celebrating before people were even halfway through their last lap.
It's got to be really shit being one of the other swimmers there.
Yeah.
Katie Ledecky of the USA reigns supreme yet again.
Just like, why? I've spent my entire life training. Why am I bothering?
Yeah, it's like what the Usain Bolt thing where he did like the 100 meters with his shoelace untied after eating nothing but chicken nuggets.
Oh no! Again, feeling shit about my life.
Yeah, well, Bob Bowman. I think Bowman, not sure how I pronounce his name, but he's the guy who is noted as being like just the most fantastical feat ever seen at the Olympics, where he jumped like half a meter over the world record for the long jump. And he jumped so far that the new technology they got in place at that Olympics couldn't measure how far he jumped because he jumped over it.
The first sign something really unusual had happened was when the official judge could not record the distance using his new high-tech recording device. The jump was literally off the scale.
And like when he was asked after the fact, like, well, this is one of the greatest feats of sporting prowess ever. What did you do to prepare? Like yesterday to come and smash the world record by half a meter, and he went, well, I had a few shots of tequila and had sex with my girlfriend. And then went to sleep, woke up and smashed the world record by 0.5 metre.
But it's all words though, isn't it? But he didn't. But he spent, he had his kale smoothie and did his workout.
Well, you have to believe, like, just some people are built different. I've done another one before. Like today, I found out like Kipchoge. He was like the long distance runner who completed a marathon after running half a marathon because the bus that he was getting to the Olympics broke down, so he just ran to the Olympics in like mismatched shoes or something, I think it is as well, and then ran the marathon and won after all. And he's the guy. You probably heard that famous story about Kenyan long distance runners. He's the one where, when he was asked, how'd you get so good at running? He went, well, I lived 12 miles away from my school, so every morning I'd run 12 miles to school and 12 miles back, barefoot in Kenyan heat. And it's like, you think that, and it's like, yeah, no wonder that guy got fucking good at running.
Like, my shop's 2 minutes away and sometimes I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
What is that?
Some people just built different.
Oh, well, we're talking about sportsmen doing like something ridiculous, though. I saw a video recently during a race. I'm not sure what kind of race it was, but it wasn't Formula 1. It was like proper cars. And somebody was towards the back, and in order to overtake everybody in the last bit, they just scraped their car along the outside of the track and went full speed, like you do in a video game. And they got to like third, just doing this incredibly dangerous thing.
That's the thing, yeah. You don't take the risk. Like, when you're in like last place, you got to take risks. There's a few examples like people just like literally change the rules. We talked before about that guy. I forget his name now. It's gonna be annoying that I'm forgetting the people's names, but I remember what they did. But we did a video about the first big man of basketball, where he was like 6'11", and prior to him being in basketball, the prevalent theory was exceptionally tall people are bad at basketball because they're not graceful enough to play basketball. And then he comes in and just stands in front of the fucking net and just goes like that, and then no one could beat him.
Well, basketball
and he's
had
the guy
the person who kept
they literally had to change the rules for him. Yeah, they had to change the rules for that guy because he was so good. They were like, well, we're gonna have to. What they do is they get the ball and then sit on it. They literally put the ball on the floor and sit on it. So they had to institute like the shot clock. So the ball has to keep moving, because otherwise people would do that to stop him. Because he would just walk up to the net, stand in front of the net, you'd pass him the ball and he'd just put it in. And there was nothing they could do.
Along with the other rules changes, Mikan also had a lot to do with the invention of the 24-second clock. During one game in 1950, the Pistons decided the only way they could beat the Lakers was to hold onto the ball and not let George have it. They did end up winning by a final score of 19-18.
Nowhere in the rules did it explicitly say I'm not allowed to shit on a basketball court and throw it at my opponent.
I don't remember that dialogue in Fast and Furious. All I remember is family. It's about family.
Well, it's just a bit where, like, he beats Paul Walker and he's like, you were cheating. He's like, a win's a win, fuck you. And he's like, damn, he's right.
By that logic, you just pull a gun out and shoot his tyres.
Yeah, that's the thing. As long as it doesn't say you're not allowed to do that. A win's a win.
It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
I think you'll find, Carl, there's no rules in race wars.
I still can't believe they never went back and did that. The fact that the primary car tournament in Fast and Furious is called the Race Wars. And all it is like Paul Walker being like, I can't wait till the race wars start. And it's like, what is this film?
How's it going, bro? What's up, man? Welcome to Race Wars.
And so every couple of months, I just retweet that thing I did of here's a screenshot from Fast and Furious without context, and it's just Vin Diesel going, the race wars start now.
So what is it exactly that you're trying to show me?
Race Wars.
Oh, well, yeah, if you want to see us discuss the race wars of Fast and Furious, consider following us on social media, where we occasionally break down films and do reviews and things like that.